Okay, this week it's time to talk about the monk. Pretty much Fury of Fists. So with the monk, they're a martial arts artist of supernatural forces. So starting off with the abilities, their primary ability is dexterity and wisdom. They get the hit points based on D8 per monk level. Save and throw proficiencies, they have strength and dexterity. You get to choose two skill proficiencies from acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, or stealth. You also have like weapon proficiencies in simple weapons and martial weapons that have the light property. Uh, Tool proficiencies, choose one type of artisan tools or musical instrument. Armor training, none, because if you think like the monk and everything, Bruce Lee, it kind of comes to mind like the kind of like the stereotypical monk and everything, in the fighting class aspect of whatever when bringing him into D&D. So they do have like a starting equipment and stuff like that, but starting off at level 1, you do have like your martial arts and your unarmored defense, and martial arts gives you like the 1d6 damage, and unarmored defense also is basically designed like, hey, look, I'm not a paladin. I'm not sitting here like a knight in shining armor. I'm someone like Bruce Lee who's designed to fight without that heavy armor and being weighed down. So that's where the armored defense comes in. So then, as you level up, you get like with the level 2, you get the monk's focus, which is kind of like if you think back to like a third edition, it's like kind of like their kai, their ki, their kai, their their inner chi. They're in a sense their psychic powers that they can pull upon, and like they also get the unarmored movement, which makes them be able to move faster. So they start off getting like a plus 10 movement. So for instance, the stereotypical human monk has a space speed of 30 feet. That plus 10 now gets them up to 40. So now it does go up every so often, and like you do get the bonuses like up to like plus 15, plus 20, plus 25, up to plus 30. So by the time you're level 18, you do get that plus 30. So you're in a sense doubling your movement as you level up and everything. So with level 2, you also have uncanny metabolism. You can roll initiative when you gain all expended focus points. When you do so, you roll your martial art die and regain a number of hit points equal to your monk level plus the number rolled. Once you use this feature, though, you can't use it again until you have like a long rest and everything. So then, in level 3 is where like you get your subclasses, which I'll go over in a second. But you also get deflect arrows. So think of the scene in Endgame, when the Scarlet Witch and it's kind of and Vision are battling like the two generals for Thanos, and they see off in the distance the train going by, and they see a shadowed figure. So one of them throws a spear. Guy catches it, and it comes out, and it's Captain America. So that's kind of like a deflect arrow. So like someone's throwing something at you or an arrow, and you just or think in the first Avengers Endgame with Loki, when Hawkeye shot his bow, and Loki just catches the arrow just like this, and just kind of smiles at him. So that's the idea of deflect attacks and everything. So then you get with level 3, you get into the subclasses, and so here we see two of them right here and here. So these ones are the Warrior of Mercy and Warrior Shadow. So the Warrior of Mercy, think of it as kind of he's more geared towards a healing. So a powered down cleric or druid type of deal. A Warrior of Shadow would be more like your sidekick to your rogue or whatever. The other two that you have are the Warrior of Elements and the Warrior of Open Hand. So the Warrior of Elements would be someone more geared more towards the arcane ability, using elemental magic and stuff. Warrior of the Open Path would be basically someone like your Shaolin monk and everything, someone who's like a kung fu master, the Matrix. I know kung fu. So those are your 4 subclasses and you can, as you can see, you can go off in just about any direction you want with each of one of those. So that's at level 3. Level 4, you get your first ability score improvement, and of course level 4, that's for all the classes. For instance, you can raise your dexterity, your wisdom, or whatever. You also get your slow fall, which like kind of lets you like think of like a cat like always landing on their feet. So that's the concept of like a slow fall. And then you move up to like a level 5, you're getting an extra attack, and of course then like you also get stun and strike for their ability, and you're also having your martial arts go up to from 1d6 to 1d8 damage, and so the martial arts damage goes up. You start off at the 1d6, and here you go up to 1d8, but you get up to 1d12 and everything. So you then move up to like level 6, where you're also getting like in power strikes, you're getting like your subclass feature, your first one. Level 7, you're also getting evasion, and of course one thing I forgot to mention is your proficiency bonus. Like all the classes have the proficiency bonus. It starts off at +2. At level 5, you get it moves up to +3. So like every so often it moves up, and like by the time you're level 17, you get up to that +6 and everything for your proficiency bonus. So back to like level 7, you get the evasion ability. Level 8, you get your second ability score improvement. So like as I'm looking at the ability score improvement, you gain the ability score improvement feat, which is in chapter 5. You can like basically see which one like ability, like I said, ability you want to improve. So like now I know in previous iterations, like you could sit there and raise like one ability by 2 points, or like 2 abilities by 1 point. So for instance, like if I had like a monk that had maybe like a 16 in like a dexterity and a 16 in wisdom, what I could do is I could, based on those older iterations, raise both up to 17, or I could, my first one, I would raise my dexterity up to 18, and the next one I raise up my wisdom to 18, or like at level 4 raise both up to 17, and then at level 8 raise them up to like both the 18 and whatever. So it depends on how you want to get that dexterity bonus up by +1, or do you want to get that wisdom bonus up by +1 at level 4, or do you want to like okay, I can just bump them up a little and then wait to get both the bonuses at level 8. So it depends on how you want to do the ability score improvement and everything. So that's the second one is at level 8. Level 9, you get the acrobatic movement. 10, heightened focus, self-restoration. 11 is another subclass feature. And of course, with the 4 ones that I mentioned, they're all going to be different, and they are explained like in the book as like we go. Just like for instance, like the warrior of mercy. What they do is they give like as I'm trying to get rid of as much of the glare as possible. Oh, excuse me. They have like all the abilities that you get at the levels that I mentioned. So these are the subclass abilities that you're getting at each specific level. So that was just the warrior of mercy, for example. So like that's level 11. Level 12, you get another ability score improvement. So again, using like maybe now you have both your dexterity and wisdom up to 18. What you could quite possibly do is raise one of them to 20, or both of them to like 19. One or the other to 20, both to 19, or however you wanted to do it. So like then at like level 13, you get deflect energy. So like it's kind of like the same concept as deflect attacks. You just now are like think of like instead of like catching the arrow or whatever and just like throwing it aside, think of like being able to like use your hand to like a dot, like basically deflect the chain lightning, or like take the fireball, just like boom, like oh, wizard, you cast fireball? Boom. I'm still here. You missed me. So that's the kind of like the idea of like deflect energy. 14, you get disciplined survivor. And then 15, you get perfect focus. 16 is like your final ability score improvement. 17, you get like that last subclass feature. 18, you get the superior defense. At 19, you get the epic boon, and then 20, you get body and mind. So they have like the whole ability table here, and this goes for like all the classes that like are in this book. So they have their like a class, in a sense, the class ability table right here. So you can see like as you go up with levels, the proficiency bonus I mentioned, and all the abilities I just mentioned. And like for the monk here, you get the martial attacks. Like you can see like the damage goes up. You get like the as I have to flip over focus points. So like your focus points are using like things for flurry of blows, patient defense, and step of the wind abilities that you got at, like way back at second level and everything. And then like the last one in like that part was like the unarmored movement, like the plus 10, plus 15, all the way up to plus 30 movement speed that you got and everything. So now you could, in essence, with like this kind of concept and everything, you could, in essence, create like a kind of character dependent on your class and everything. So like the warrior, like going with the back into the subclasses, the warrior mercy, you could kind of, in a sense, maybe act as like a secondary healer. Maybe like you have a paladin, and you don't have a cleric or druid, you could use the warrior mercy to kind of like maybe add a little extra healing. Or maybe if you're geared more towards like a subterfuge type of like campaign, maybe you're in like the city of Waterdeep, and maybe you're running like the prequel to the Dungeon of the Mage, like the adventure book escapes me, so someone can probably jump in the comments and kind of refresh my memory. You could use the Warrior of Shadow, but you could also use that in like another aspect of like the Warrior of Shadow is like kind of like the rogue's sidekick and everything. So like the rogue is notorious for like is stereotypically, I should say, the scout, and they go out and kind of scout ahead. They could, with the warrior shadow, bring him along, and like kind of like in case they got into danger, they'd have like think of like having like a fighter side by side, and like you're trying to find like which way through the dungeon is best, and you have your rogue, and you kind of don't want to get in danger, but like danger finds you. You now have like a backup, someone who can actually like help cover your ass type of deal, and be able to get maybe get if you get into a fight, kind of get out of it as quickly as possible. The warrior of the elements, kind of like more geared towards like arcane magic. Maybe you could act as like a secondary arcane spellcaster, or like using your abilities to back up like the sorcerer, the warlock, or like the wizard or someone. Of course, the warrior, the open hand would be perfect to kind of be able to supplement like the fighter or the paladin, like your other frontline your frontline warrior that goes, or even the barbarian. So it all, of course, it all depends on what type of like a monk you want to play and everything. So you could be like in a group that's like heavily combat focused, but you still want to do the warrior of the open hand, or vice versa. You could be some like a group that's like heavily magic focused with like clerics, druids, and sorcerers and wizards and stuff, and you could go the way of the warrior of the elements, or the warrior of mercy or something. So, or again, like the same thing like with the warrior of like shadows. So you could be geared more towards rogues and bards, and you could still. I don't want to do the other subclasses. I want to kind of like be able to fit in. So that's, I think, like overall in all these classes, I think that's the greatest thing about the subclasses. Like it gives you so many more options to be like, okay, so this is what my group is running, but this is kind of how I want to play my character, and so or like well, group's going this way, I kind of want to go this way with my character, so that way we have like a backup for like whatever and everything. So, and like of course, I'm just kind of like just a ton of options to go, and the only thing that really matters is like how you want to play the character, and like so it's all up to you. So this like that's the great thing about a game like this, and character classes like especially this one, is that like being so highly subjective and everything, it's entirely up to us and how we want to play the character. So like again, like someone like me, I might go towards the warrior of the open hand, because like, hey, yeah, look, I want to get in there and like pull like a bunch of like moves that you see in the Matrix movies or something, or whatever, like maybe Enter the Dragon, like with Bruce Lee I mentioned. The next person might want to sit here and play like the warrior shadows, because like, hey, look, I want to be able to like be that monk that also sneaks around and with the rogue, and kind of like get kind of danger and get into trouble with the rogue and stuff. So it all depends on, again, how you want to play this character. So this is kind of the overview of the Fists of Fury, otherwise known as the monk class.